Here we go. All right. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Tina Hewerman, and I am one of the leaders here for this team. Of course, we have Miss Landy in the house. We've got Michelle, we've got Megan, Jessica Tossi with the Saucy, and Chelsea. We've got so many great leaders on this call tonight. And Seymour is here twice. I see him on twice. And we are so excited to have you with us this evening to listen to Dr. Ivy. Dr. Ivy explains things in such a manner that the average human can understand and pick up what is good for us and how these products can be incorporated into our health system, into how we better provide nutrients to our body with the products that we have. So tonight, let me just introduce you, triple board certified.
Just double.
Double. Okay, well, I thought I saw triple, so double board, but still that's huge.
Not
Uh,
yet, but soon.
Soon. All right. So double board certified Dr. Ivy, and she is going to break down. Last week she broke down our immune system, and this week she's going to kind of break down how these products can go into helping us have better health. So, Dr. Ivy, go ahead and take it away.
Oh, wow, that was fast. Okay, well, let me jump on in here and let me go ahead and share this.
Um,
Says I'm disabled.
oh, let me get that up for you.
Thank you.
Hold on. How do I do that? Let me see. Sorry, guys, just a second here. I thought I made you a co-host. There we go. We'll try it again.
All right. I am now. I see it now.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so let me go ahead and do this. And I'm sharing just fine. Move this all the way here, and I'm going to move this up here. All right, and so we're going to go ahead and hit play. Thank you guys for being with me this evening. It was a wonderful time last week. We're going to do part 2 tonight and wrap it up. Last week, we basically covered what are the key players in our immune system. And, those key players, not many people talk about them. And so I wanted to make sure that I was able to unpack that for you. And a little bit of housekeeping here. Although I am a board certified naturopathic doctor, I'm personally not your doctor. Please clear any decisions you choose to make through the proper channels and your healthcare provider. Nothing I say is meant to treat, cure, or diagnose any diseases. If you would like to troubleshoot specific things private to you, you're always welcome to contact me and schedule a consult. You can reach me at hello@epigenetichealth.org. And so we're just going to jump right into it. Okay, so last week we unpacked pretty serious key players in our immune system. And so this first slide for us, this should be, just a real simple reminder. I do feel like I'm preaching to the choir because I know we have such great people that really just get how this works. And so I also know that I love constant repetition, and so repetition is never lost in vain. And so these are just basics, okay? If you can get the basics down, then you can be very successful biohacking your body, okay? And what we do with supplementation, with methods or treatments like red light devices or anything like that, that's biohacking, okay? When your diet is as nutrient dense as it should be, your supplements can do their job, which is just really filling in those gaps that you have, okay? So step number 1 is just the fundamental levels of, foundation here. Nutrient dense diet. The most common deficiencies here in the Western world, in the United States today that we see here: vitamin D, vitamin A, iodine, iron, B12, and magnesium. Okay, so nutrient dense diet is going to be key. These are just a few things. I like to call them love languages for your immune system. This is how your immune system understands you. This is the way you speak to your body. You speak to it by providing a nutrient dense diet. You speak to it by providing really good quality sleep. You speak to it by making sure that your stress level is low. Okay, by getting out in that daylight, in that sunshine, letting your eyes absorb those beautiful sun rays and helping yourself synthesize vitamin D. You speak a love language to your body, providing fresh water. It can be structured water, things like hydrogen water, sparkling water. Okay. A huge love language for your body is exercise and movement. And we're going to get into that later on. So, first and foremost, get your baseline first so that you can be effective at biohacking when you attempt it. Okay. Doing these things and getting this set in place first, it equals functionally drainage pathways. So your colon is going to work well, your liver is going to work well, your kidneys, your lymph, your fascia, your skin. Okay. And the beautiful thing about all this is that you don't have to live a different way for different results. You live the same one way and it functions for vitality, for immunity, for strength, for fertility, for vibrancy. All you have to do is just live one way. You don't have to do different things for different areas or different body systems. You just have to live one way, and it's pretty basic. So, how is it that we build a strong immune system? Last week, we unpacked the key players that work in this immune system. Well, how do we build it? How do we grow it? Well, it's the same thing when you ask, how do you build muscle? How do you build endurance and strength and physique? You build that by exercise, by training, by consistent daily behavior, which we like to call discipline. Your immune system is no different, so your understanding should be no different. You grow and build a strong immune system via exposure. Through living life, you encounter microbes that are foreign to you. You grow, you live, you mature. Your microbiome grows, changes, and matures with you. So the microbiome that you had as an adult is much different than what you were born with and what you had when you were in adolescence. This was my biggest problem with isolation and lockdowns. This is why they were so detrimental, and I'm speaking epigenetically speaking. We eliminated all communication with our environment and our world that we live in every day. We eliminated communication with our loved ones, with our area and our terrain where we live. And your DNA needs this information to know that you're okay. The moment that people kind of got a little bit crazy and really went strict into the isolation, when they started to live life again and they went back outside and they took their masks off, the majority of them got sick because communication was broken from the world we live in to our body. So living your life every day, waking up, getting out of bed, running your errands, going to work, getting some exercise in, you are communicating with your environment, or better said, your environment is communicating with you. Your genetics and your DNA understand where you live. They understand your terrain. They even understand the pollution that's in your area. And so eliminating that really was a detriment to a lot of people. You need this constant opportunity to level up. Remember last week I said we have the most extensive library. Our immune system has a library on knowledge of every possible intruder, but what we don't have is the hand-on, hand-to-hand combat experience. That is what we gain through life. And so we need this daily opportunity to level up. We are winning small hand-to-hand combats. This is why daily experiences are so vital. You have no idea of the amount of microbes that your immune system protects you from 24/7. You want opportunities for your immune system to flex. And one of those examples for flexing, for example, would be a fever. This is one way that your immune system can start to flex his muscles a little bit. The body and your brain know exactly what temperature specific bacteria, fungi, and various microbes die at. At the same time, they protect your brain from a temperature that's too high. So hence the ebb and flow of fevers throughout the day and throughout the night. Fevers are so vital because certain immune cells are only activated during the time of the fever. There are cells at this time that would never be called in to fight otherwise. So the worst case scenario is that the fever is a built-in reset switch that your brain uses. Very, very, very rarely would anybody experience any type of brain damage from a seizure due to a high fever, okay? Now, aside from the opportunities to level up, you need proper fuel. And a lot of people don't put this next statement together, but just like monocropping ruins the land and it ruins agriculture, okay, there's absolutely no need for hectares worth of almond trees. There's absolutely no need for hectares worth of acres of corn and soy. That monocropping, okay, where you have hundreds and thousands of acres of the same thing, number one, it ruins the terrain. So they have to kill everything in that microbiome for that monoculture to thrive. Well, the same way that monoculture ruins the land and agriculture, so does only consuming one food group ruin your gut terrain. The variety of your commensal community, they prefer certain things that come from all of our different food groups, not the limited options within one food group. So if your commensal community is diverse, logic should tell you that the fuel that you provide must be equally diverse to keep it that way, to keep everybody that's living in there, keep them happy, you keep them satisfied. You act like a really good boss, making sure that your workers get a payday, they get bonuses, and they get the time that they need and the tools that they need to do the work for you that you've hired them to do. Okay, so it's microbiome diversity that determines your immune system strength, your vibrancy, and it directly influences how resilient you are to the effects of trauma that you experience in your life. Now, your immune system ebb and flow. Okay, your immune system has a natural flow. It's like this beautiful symphony, a beautiful music piece that was written by our creator, the one and only Lord God, who created us so wonderfully. Okay, it rises to occasion when something affects you, it addresses the threat, and then it calms back down. It is never meant to be ramped up all the time. An overreactive immune system reacts to everything. Just think of people that you know in your circle who suffer from histamine issues, mast cell issues, severe allergies. These things are an indication of a very uneducated immune system. It's just firing off at everything. You could inhale a dust bunny and there you go crazy, basically getting into some kind of asthma attack. That's not the way that things go. A healthy immune system doesn't mean never getting sick. What it does mean is that when you do get sick, can your immune system deal with the threat intelligently? Can it do it effectively? And can it do it in a timely manner? That is what vibrancy, robust immunity, that's what that looks like. So it means you can't live in a sanitized world. Your commensal bacteria, fungal, along with other microbes and mites and small little parasites, they outnumber your own human cells. We need to understand that we house another community. So this is an extremely vital relationship, and it is vital that it remains in good standing. So we need to be careful how we care for it. Okay, so now we're going to get into our love languages of our key players that we unpacked last week. So our first line of defense, okay? Here's the love language that your mucosa layer understands. Now remember last week that we talked about your mucosa layer, it absolutely lines every part of your body, all the way down your intestinal tract. It lines canals that reach the outside, okay? And so here's how you speak to it in a way that it understands you. Processed foods and high sugar diets, OTCs, they ruin the gut lining. Consuming undiluted essential oils in water are number one for damaging your mucus layer. I see so many people saying they're doing this for weight loss. They're putting a couple of undiluted drops of essential oil in water. Well, we know that oil and water don't mix. It's going to burn a hole right through your mucosal layer. And if you do it enough, it's going to go ahead and get right down to your stomach wall as well. Okay, so we can have really ugly things happen when we have a habit of putting undiluted essential oils and drinking them in water. There are safe ways to do that. For our mucosal layer to be happy, we're going to have to eliminate chronic stress. When we suffer from chronic stress, it increases the rate at which we burn magnesium. So it goes like this: magnesium loss equals electrolyte confusion, which then causes energy loss, and then causes cell death, which then gives us inflammation that ends in calcification. So eliminate alcohol and smoking, get enough rest, healthy weight management. A lot of people would never imagine that maintaining a healthy weight gives you a healthy mucosal layer. That's because growing fat cells is a metabolic disaster. When your fat cells grow too big, they start releasing their own free fatty acids into the blood. This sends a signal to the rest of your entire body to become pathologically insulin resistant. Less processed foods and OTCs, drinking undiluted essential oils. We already talked about that. Okay, so you need a variety of whole nutrient dense foods. Foods actually help you build your mucosal layer. Your mucosal lining love languages. These are mucus layer forming foods and herbs, things like mushrooms, okra, aloe, mullein, comfrey, slippery elm, marshmallow, licorice. I have the worst time with that because that's probably the flavor that I hate the most, I think. But here's a note on conventional processed dairy, because there seems to be this undeserved war on the mucosal layer, and everybody seems to think that dairy is what causes, severe congestion, severe phlegm, abnormal mucosal behavior. Processed dairy does, but you won't find literature showing you that raw dairy provides those effects. Raw dairy helps build your mucosal layer. It acts as a direct positive influence on your gut lining, providing vital things, fat soluble vitamins, enzymes, beneficial bacteria, and so much more that you have no idea. Raw dairy actually helps you digest the other foods that you consume with it. So raw dairy here is not the culprit. Now, if you don't have access to raw milk, I always say don't bother getting organic processed milk from the store. That is pasteurized over 300 degrees. It's a complete dead liquid, and it's the processed dairy that your body treats like a foreign invader. That's where all that excess mucus comes from, because your body doesn't understand or recognize what you just allowed to come on in. That's processed dairy. Raw, raw butter, free range eggs, all that kind of stuff, fresh yogurt. Those are things that help you build your mucus gut lining. They don't tear it down. Processed dairy will tear that down. So remember, in case you've forgotten how important this mucosal layer is, let me remind you of the disorders that are classified as mucosal disorders: H. pylori, gastritis, GERD, bronchitis, IBS, Crohn's, endometriosis, leaky gut. I mean, that is the foundation of a mucosal layer discrepancy. That is a mucosal layer that has been injured. There has been severe assault to that mucosal layer, and it's not being built back up. And because of that, you begin to experience those conditions that I mentioned. Now, the love language that your fascia, your lymphatic system, and your skin understands, it only made sense to go ahead and stack these three because they all work together. They're actually the closest in proximity to one another. Now, your lymph, not only your lymph, but your bones as well get the benefit from this. Your lymph, it loves movement. It loves lifting weights. Lifting helps the transit health through your lymph and your fascia, and the reward is getting it cleared. It can be very light lifting, nothing strenuous. I'm not telling you to go out and get a hernia, but what I'm saying is that the lifting has to be challenging. Okay? The goal is to move the remains from the cost of doing business of life from deep within and clear it out. You want effective clearance. And for the lymphatic system, its love language that it loves the most from you is going to be a challenging lifting, challenging movements, challenging weights. Nothing that's going to harm you or strain you, but something that's got to be challenging. Long stretching, hold passive poses, encourage flexibility for your fascia, providing variety, multi-directional exercises, and usually these things will target joints as well. But your fascia responds to patterns of behavior, okay? So if you only train in one way, your fascia is going to develop in that one way. So just think to yourself, how many bodybuilders do you know that are limber, that are supple, that are flexible? Not very many. They train one way, up and down, back and forward, and that's how their fascia trains to move as well. Should they try to do flexible things or reach their toes without bending their knees, you're going to see them struggle right away. Compare them with gymnasts and dancers of different disciplines. When you look at a ballet dancer, when you look at a gymnast, when you look at one of those ballroom dancers, you see their body developed in a variety of ways, and the movements that they can effortlessly pull off is amazing. Mobility training, like I said before, these things are multi-directional ways in which you train, and they end up providing a very huge plus for you. Okay, things like foam rolling, manual lymphatic drainage therapy. Make sure you go to a certified therapist to provide this for you because it's pretty serious. Deep tissue massage, dry brushing, rebounding, addressing adhesions because adhesions provide blockages for biochemical movement, along with inhibiting intracellular communication from your fascia to other vital parts of your body. In treatments like this and movements like this, they act as a manual pump fluid, manual pumping moving fluid through your fascia. And yes, I remember this question from last week. I believe it was our very own Cheryl Prince. She asked the question, does sugar directly negatively affect your fascia? It absolutely does. So a diet in high processed sugar or, high processed foods, it does. It absolutely ruins your fascia. It ruins it in the effect of your structure and integrity. There are compounds that we call AGEs. It comes from a process called glycation from high processed sugar, high processed diets. These are compounds that damage all nearby proteins and collagen. So absolutely yes, a processed diet, high in processed foods, high in sugar, it does ruin your fascia, absolutely. We can't talk about fascia without including trauma. Our cells hold memory of trauma. We see now that your brain isn't the only place where trauma is held. For example, unresolved PSD disrupts hormone secretion, neurochemistry, and immune system functioning, which leads to diseased cells, organs, and other body systems. So hence, a strong, diverse microbiome gives you resiliency to the effects of trauma. Memories aren't only held in your brain, they're held in every cell as well. Okay, muscle cells have memory. So say, for example, you weightlifted for a while and then maybe you stopped weightlifting and you get back into it again. That muscle has muscle memory. This is what we call muscle memory. The muscle knows how to build again, how to grow again, how to consume fat for fuel again. There's muscle memory. There's also muscle memory from undesirable effects, maybe like trauma. So the little boy that maybe got screamed at all the time and his neck and his shoulders got tense grows up to be a young man and a young adult and notices that he has chronic tightening of his neck muscles and shoulder muscles. Okay, that is trauma memory in that fascia, in that part of your body. So it's so important that we do what we can to make sure that we provide the clearance for the fascia, that we provide that movement, that we train it to be limber and flexible and not stiff not stagnant. That way we don't hinder very vital immune communication that happens within this little web in our body that puts all of our little organs and muscles and tendons in perfect little neat packages for us. Now, of course, the skin. All of these bullet points from above, they're going to give you healthy skin from the inside out. What you have to do is from the outside in as well. So you're going to make sure that you have microbiome enhancing skincare. You're going to avoid things that have formaldehyde that we use to embalm dead bodies with. Why we would put that in skincare, I have no idea, but you're going to want to avoid skincare that's going to be harmful to your skin. Remember that graphic that I showed you last week, that microbiome that is not visible to the naked eye? You have bacteria, fungi, microbes, and perfect little mites that are actually there to protect you. So things like hand sanitizers, they are not your friend. The more you use them, the more probability you're going to have that your good bacteria is no longer going to be able to colonate in that area. That's not what you want to experience. So you want to be very sure that you nourish your skin from the inside out, and likewise that you're cautious about what you're putting on from the outside. So you want to nourish your skin from the outside, and you want to nourish it from the inside. And a nutrient dense diet is going to do that for you. And this is exactly the reason why we don't drink undiluted essential oils. Well, you don't put them on your skin either. You don't put them on your skin because that is going to give you a reaction called sensitization. Now, if you want a little bit of homework for yourself, last week's graphic didn't show it, but beneath our skin, we have cells that are called Langerhans cells, okay? This is how we produce a sensitization to essential oils, and they're so beneficial. The last thing you want to do is make it so that you can't use essential oils. Okay, this is why we don't put them on. Number one, essential oils are going to kill absolutely everything that's on your skin. You don't want that to happen. And number two, once that gets down through your pores and hits those Langerhans cells, that's when the severe reaction takes place. And it can be localized just to that one area, or it can be from head to toe. And you just never know how it's going to happen. You don't know how you're personally going to react to that. So I always caution against neat essential oils directly on the skin. Be cautious if you're putting undiluted essential oils in your bath. You would really hate to sit on a glob of unmixed essential oils in a very tender area. That's going to be something that's going to take quite a while to get better from. So I already said that diet is a wonderful thing. It's the most vital thing to keep these systems happy. And that is one of the most effective love languages that these three systems together are going to understand from you. Okay. So if you want healthy collagen production, healthy fascia production, and healthy structural production, you're going to want to leave the meat on your skin. Enjoy that fried chicken with the skin on. Have that turkey with the skin on. Don't cut the fat off your meat, because the same way that those happy animals built their collagen from beautiful, healthy sun exposure and eating everything they're supposed to eat, that's exactly what encourages you to build your healthy fascia, your healthy collagen structure. You need it. We've got collagen types 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they don't come from plant sources. They come from happy animals who lived out their life, living it the way that it should be lived. The two key amino acids there are going to be glycine and triosine, in case you wanted to know. Now, this is an underrated system that we have. Nobody ever loves to talk about it. It's our neural glymphatic system. This is the reward we get from effective sleep, okay? During the day, your brain has a healthy flow of fluid that provides all of the nutrients that it needs, all the fuel that it needs. And at night, when you're supposed to be sleeping, once you get into that deep sleep, your brain turns on this switch. And the flow that was predominantly coming in from the day, it now is switched to going out. Okay. So your CNS system cleanses itself, your cells actually repair, and you get good effects from that. It affects every body system in yourself when you don't get effective sleep. When you don't get effective sleep, cells don't repair, they don't regenerate, they don't perform the cleaning that they need to do. In other words, that the cells, they work all day and they have the cost of doing business, reactive oxygen species and all other kinds of waste that cells make from living life and keeping you alive and providing energy for you. Well, if you don't get deep sleep, then that cell doesn't have time and it doesn't get the resources to go ahead and turn around and start cleaning house. And so that's the biggest problem on why sleep is such a big love language from your body. We all know what a sleep deprived person can be like. It's not pleasant to be around. And if it happens long enough, you're going to start seeing body systems be severely affected. Okay. So this is your glymphatic system. This is about the brain fluid flow from during the day into the brain to switching off to out of the brain during deep sleep. You need deep, restful sleep for this to happen. This doesn't happen during cat naps. It doesn't happen during light sleep. It happens during that deep layer of sleep that you get into. So if you don't do this, your brain can't remove toxic material from operating all day. Cellular repair is not going to happen. I already said that. And so when you're so sleep deprived, you have higher chances of binge eating on junk the next day. We all know that happens. We've all been sleep deprived for whatever reason or another, and you know that you binge eat junk food the next day. It's very hard to keep yourself from doing that. So here are some of my do's, my favorite things that I love to talk about. When anybody, just says, what are some things that we can do just to keep, our immune system robust? I'm not going to keep saying nutrient dense diet. That should already be a given, okay? What you should definitely do is definitely wean your taste buds down to a lower glycemic index sugar, okay? That means you can keep organic cane sugar and organic brown sugar for baking and cooking purposes because the rest of the ones I'm going to mention right now, they don't bake well for you, okay? So honey granules, sucanat, which is basically unprocessed cane sugar. Then you have date sugar, you have maple sugar, and you have coconut sugar. Now, the last three are the lowest glycemic index sugars. Coconut sugar right now is going to taste like dirt to you if you try it tomorrow. Your goal is going to be to wean yourself down that you get to a point that coconut sugar tastes extremely sweet to you, okay? It's gonna be a little bit like probably coming off of crack. This is what sugar is for the brain. It's serious, okay? So wean your taste buds off of this bleached white sugar, which is the highest glycemic index you could possibly harm yourself with. Go ahead and wean down, every couple of weeks, or maybe every bag of sugar, move down to the next one, okay? So if you start with honey granules, get through the package of that. And if you made it through okay, the next time you buy sugar, buy yourself sucanat. And then the next time when you're done after that, buy yourself date sugar and continue on all the way till you get down to coconut sugar. And when that starts tasting sweet to you, you've done your job. People always ask me, why isn't monk fruit in your favorite sugars to wean down to? Well, my problem with monk fruit is that it's cut with erythritol. That's a man-made sugar alcohol. It's an artificial sweetener. I call it the hidden GMO because the majority of erythritol comes from cornstarch, which we know is a derivative from corn. Erythritol can be used as an insecticide due to its ability to kill bugs. Now, I don't know about you. I can just stop right there and tell you I'm suffice to be unhappy with that. But wait, it gets worse. The body doesn't break this artificial sugar down, okay? Typically, when you eat sugar, you actually trick your brain into thinking you're satisfied and that you ate a good meal. Your hunger goes away. What the problem with this artificial sugar alcohol is that it's never broken down in the body. So actually, it just roams around, creating problems, creating excess water in your intestines, causing diarrhea, giving you migraines, giving you headaches, nausea. it presents an issue with overeating. It's not broken down, so the brain gets signals that you're still hungry. This is a problem. Long-term use will result in the following. It's going to give you heartburn. It's going to give you IBS. It's going to give you indigestion, which is going to cause chronic stress. There's no one health benefit to the sugar whatsoever. And if there's no benefit to it at all, then it's not important to me to have it in my life. Now, people with anxiety, they're going to suffer worse here consuming this sugar than someone else who doesn't have anxiety. Okay, so this is my problem with monk fruit. This is why I don't like it. Sometimes it's hidden in foods and you can't really identify it. They don't exactly have to put the name on the label for you, so I'm very, very cautious with this, and I try to avoid it when I can. So another definite do, create your immune arsenal before you get ill. Create it while you are well. Get get all your stuff, get your ducks in a row so that you're not like the moment you're ill, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I got to order this, and Amazon Prime, the closest I can do is 2 days. And there you have 48 hours, without your immune support, right? So I'm always stocked on the following. I'm always stocked on vitamin C, our activated charcoal. My fulvic is non-negotiable. My black seed oil is non-negotiable. And then there are things like bone broth. I utilize benefits of our essential oils. I diffuse them, whenever I don't feel well. It depends whether I choose to use them at the time. Okay. So inhalation is the most effective method. Fermented garlic is a wonderful thing to have on hand. Fermented in honey. Garlic is the most friendly to your microbiome that you could have. Now, if you like homeopathy, you can do things like oscillio. Okay, it's great to have on hand. Arnica tablets are phenomenal for pain. Silver is an absolute must in my arsenal, but I'm going to tell you that it is not my first tool that I reach to grab, okay? Silver is going to be my last ditch effort when I've tried everything that I can try and I'm still having a problem fighting whatever it is for way too long of a time, okay? Silver is my silver bullet. And so I make sure to use it very respectfully because silver is not going to discriminate. Okay, silver doesn't discriminate between good and bad. It's going to go in and it's going to just do its job. It's just not toxic like a antibiotic is. Okay, but silver is not going to discriminate. It's going to go in and it's going to get the good and the bad. So we're going to suffer a little bit of loss with it. Now, trying to eat organic is going to be really key because it's those pesticides like that killer glyphosate. They tried to get away with saying that it doesn't affect human beings. And the truth of the matter is that it doesn't affect human beings. What it does affect is your entire microbiome, okay? It affects the pathway of life that your bacteria, your microbes, your parasites, and your mites, it affects their pathway of life, their pathway of function, and it wipes them out. So if you're consuming, conventional foods, or you think that there isn't too much of a high value on organic, understand that those pesticides are meant to wipe out your whole microbe community. Everything that you've got housed in there, it's got no standing chance against things like glyphosate and other things. Do a parasite cleanse once a year. Identify whether you have mold and address it. Intermittent fasting is a wonderful tool for men. And those of you who work out, you don't need to fast as long to enter into autophagy. That's a beautiful thing. Others who don't work out are going to have to fast a lot longer of a window for their cells to jump into that autophagy. Now, women, you're going to need to apply this at proper times throughout the month. You need to remember that us women, we have a biorhythm, and every week of the month, we are essentially a different person because different hormones come into play. You will find that certain weeks of the month are easier for you to intermittent fast as opposed to other ones. So be cautious when you implement this if you choose to do so, because being done the wrong way can affect your hormonal behavior the way it should be working. rotate your immune supports. So don't always pull everything out of the arsenal every time you get sick. You've got to identify what it is first. And that leads me to my next thing. Don't jump on yourself the moment you feel a tickle in your throat. I can't tell you how many people say, oh, I just had this little tickle and I just took everything out and I started taking everything. And then within 24 hours, whatever it was gone. But you don't even know what it was that is now gone because you never let it identify and settle into what it is. I don't treat severe chest congestion the same way that I treat a fever. I don't treat a bacterial infection the same way that I treat something viral that I'm dealing with. So give yourself an opportunity, give your body a chance to identify what it's going to be. Personally, I always get neck pain when I start to get under the weather, and it usually 90% of the time it comes after a long time of lack of sleep, right? So I start to get a lot of neck pain, flu-like symptoms like neck muscle aches. I give it almost 24 hours and it will either settle into chest congestion or maybe a sinus infection or maybe something else. And so once I know what it is, I treat it accordingly. And so you can't always just pull everything out in your arsenal and use everything all the time. You should rotate your tools that you have. Sometimes people are so used to using essential oils all the time that they get to a point where they say, well, they just don't work anymore. Well, they do, but the problem is that your biochemistry with the last illness was different than your biochemistry with this illness. And last time, those essential oils matched up perfectly well. Well, this time, it wasn't the same thing. And so then we have an issue with people getting disillusioned with holistic methods, thinking that they don't work or they don't work fast enough or they're just faulty or, they just get bothered. And it's heartbreaking for them because they were just never educated. So it's sad for me to see them be disgruntled because if they only knew, if you only knew that you can't get ill and pull all these things out, you can have the best medicinal arsenal for cellular health and cellular immunity. And if other things are not in place, this is going to do nothing for you. If you're not out moving your body and getting into that daylight and that sunshine and drinking fresh water and having nutrient dense foods, you can have medicine directly given to you from heaven, from God Himself, and it's not going to do anything for you. Okay. And so we have to understand that you first set the stage so that your supplements can fill the gaps. So you set the stage with your livelihood, with your commitment, with your discipline, with your consistency every day. You set that stage, and then these things will be stars for you every time you pull something out. Oh, it's going to be perfect. But it's not going to work that way when we allow ourselves to be overweight, when we're on the sad American diet, when we've got no movement in our body, our lymph system is absolutely backed up to God knows where. We're not eliminating 1 to 3 times a day. We are having bowel movements like every 3 days, every 5 days. There are people in this world who live only going to the bathroom and having a bowel movement once a week. That's insane. And then they want the best supplements and then they're, you know, disgruntled when it doesn't work the way that they thought it should work. And so the point of the matter is get your baseline foundation first. Get your basics done. Implement these things. And then you will see that your amazing supplements are going to fill the gaps the way that they're meant to. They are never meant to outdo lousy decisions. You can't out supplement your way into a life you behaved yourself into. You can't do that. And so if people understood that, things would go much better for them. Always, always, always get a second opinion when you're told to take anything damaging, like antibiotics or medications. Always, always, always get a second opinion. I would even add here, don't wait too late to get established with a holistic practitioner so that if you get into trouble, you can quickly get an appointment with them and they can talk some things through with you and they can maybe help you, assist you with, a proper protocol for whatever issue is you're going through at the time. Okay, so don't wait until the last minute to have a holistic practitioner that you trust. that you can say, you know what, I'm in a jam right now. I've tried everything that my knowledge has brought me to. I've tried everything that I understand what to try, and I just can't kick this. I'm going to go to my holistic practitioner. That is the most wise and the most educated way you and your holistic practitioner can have a beneficial relationship. When you've exhausted everything that's in your education, and then you say, you know what? Okay, this is a little bit beyond me, but my holistic practitioner can help me. And so I always say that. Get a second opinion. I knew a young lady who called me um, because her primary care physician, she thought she had SIBO, and she asked the practitioner to run the test for her. And the practitioner said, I'll run it after you fill this script for these antibiotics. And by the way, when you take them, you can't be exposed to daylight. You can't be out in the sun. You can't do this, that, and the other. And the side effects was like a packet. Okay. And he chose not to run a test until she agreed to take this medication. That's insane. So don't allow yourselves to be stuck in a position like that. And so that's just horrific to hear. And so I hope that you guys got as much value out of this as I did putting together. Thank you for spending your time with me this evening. And I hope that you were able to glean some tips from there.
We go. So many great tips, Dr. Ivy. Thank you so much. One of the things that stuck out for me the most was I was a daycare provider, an in-home daycare provider for 16 years. And every year that the school year ended, all of my kids would get sick within 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Every year that the school year started, my kids would get sick within the first 2 weeks. And it was the difference in the exposure to the different immune systems that they were in the cesspool of daycare. I mean, people call it a cesspool, a petri dish, but it's that exposure. It's getting out into public and having your immune system bolstered. And so out of, you said fulvic and BSO are your two daily products that you will never go without.
Yes.
In addition to that, what would be your number one essential oil diluted from tonight's conversation? Because I've been using the lymph detox undiluted for about 3 months now.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to mix that. What part to part carrier oil to essential oil would you recommend on a dilution because I know that we're very powerful with the oils that we have.
Yes. Okay. So is it that you're consuming this?
No,
You're drinking it, or
no,
oh,
I've got
okay.
a
So
little
for
roller ball that I put, it's a little kit that I got that has a roller bottle. I put that on the top of the essential oil and I rub it on my lymph nodes, under my armpits, under my breast, and then down through the groin area. Should I not be doing that undiluted?
right. So I would never put essential oils, especially in key lymph areas, undiluted. Number one, it's wiping out your microbial diversity right here. As we learned last week, every aspect of our body has a different community because different aspects of us are exposed to the elements of nature and other parts of us are not. And every part of us has a different family of microbes and mites and all kinds of things like that. So for me, putting undiluted essential oils on these lymph areas would be a no. And so what you can do is, I don't know if your roller is the average size. I want to say that they're 10 milliliters are average. You can put up to, 2 to 3 drops and then fill the rest with an oil like coconut oil, or olive oil. It doesn't matter what one. I saw a question come through and somebody said, can BSO be your carrier oil? Well, ideally, yes. Our BSO has the main component very high, which is thymoquinone. You you need an oil with a good fat in there. And so our BSO has has had its fat removed from it, and we have the most potent aspect of the oil. And so you want a better oil than that. That's not going to be a really good one to use as a diluting oil. I would just stick with either coconut oil or olive oil. Those are the two common things that people have at home. Sunflower oil is also a great option as well. You can find that in the health food section right beside the coconut and olive oil. And so I would mix it that way and then go ahead and apply it to those key areas and then to those lymph nodes that are going to be in the groin area.
You are amazing. Thank you so much. I'm sure we are going to have a lot of questions come in. I'll be hosting again next week because part of this team is heading to the Poconos Mountains for a leadership retreat. So maybe you and I can talk about a Q&A session next week. And if you're available, and we'll have Dr. Ivy part 3, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Providing that, people are like, you know what, I think we're done with Dr. Ivy. This was a great ride, and you know what, we can move on to other
No,
things.
no, I don't think anyone ever gets sick of Dr. Ivy. You are absolutely amazing the way you explain things to us. So I appreciate you so much. I will get the recording posted as soon as possible. Yeah,
Is there a way to screenshot the questions that are being put in here, and then maybe we can tackle them next week?
I
Because I think
can.
there's a lot that came through. I can't see anything once I'm sharing my screen, so it's all not visible to me.
I think I can download the chat. I think that's a part of the recording process. And I will post in the detox group, the team chat, questions for Dr. Ivy regarding the immune system.
Okay.
And we can compile a list of those. That assignment will be due by Tuesday. So Dr. Ivy has a chance to kind of formulate a compliant response to the questions that you might have in
That
regards.
would be a great idea.
Yeah, so let's have that done by Tuesday. I'll post that in the two team groups, and we will see, we'll have Dr. Ivy back next Thursday. Well, everyone else will be flying to the Poconos Mountains. I'm so jealous I'm not there with you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Thank you all so much for being on tonight. We appreciate you at HBN Naturals. We appreciate you, Dr. Ivy, for your knowledge. The chat is blowing up right now with thank you notes to Dr. Ivy because she's
Thank you,
a
guys.
rock star. So thank you all. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Good night.